This is the F1000 podcast for the Miami Grand Prix. We've got 5 bets on the slip this week, 2 involving the midfield, 1 on some potential chaos, and then we're taking a strong look at those upgrades maybe working for McLaren. We're here to bet $1,000 on the Grand Prix. Let's go. Okay, Mike, we've got a lot to get into. I like that we've seen a sprint race. It's always good to have extra data going into a Grand Prix. I want to jump right into it, Mike. I want to start our conversation on the positions around P3, P4, P5. We've got Carlos, Checo, and then Lando, and I'm very interested, I'm putting you on the spot, where you see in terms of a potential pecking order between those 3.
Yeah, you know what? Earlier in the weekend, you and I talked about what value existed out of the practice one performance from McLaren, and just the fact that they brought all those upgrades and they looked like significantly quicker than the rest of the field. There's probably a lot of things at play there, you would imagine, but one of them could realistically be this, similar to what happened last year, that this raft of upgrades is significantly going to improve McLaren's performance moving forward. And they did the same thing last year. Let's keep it in mind, like keep this in mind. In Austria, when they brought everything leading up to that race, they made all these assumptions and caveats and saying like it's not going to dramatically change their performance, and then it did. Will they be able to replicate that? It's very unlikely. I guess my point is though, we didn't get to see it in the sprint race, and I
I
think
know.
maybe that's advantageous for us as bettors. Like, are we getting more favorable odds on Lando because they're not using the softs? Like nobody could make the softs work, and
No.
they're likely not going to use them in the race. It's probably going to be it's a one stopper, medium hard, whatever order you want to do that in. They very much could get the mediums working to the point where Lando was going out on them in qualifying. He was trying to
Yeah.
trying to get pole on mediums, which is
Yeah.
insane. But
Yeah.
I think what that does is just it's a testament to how comfortable he is on the medium, and that seems like that's going to be obviously a big part of this race. So all of that is to say, starting on the clean side of the track in P5, is there like maybe that's what we have to be looking at? He goes forwards and Sainz and Perez. Like the hardest part, pegging Checo is difficult, right?
So that's why I wanted to start here. I do have a pretty strong sense that this is going to finish Max and then Charles. And that's why I wanted to talk about those next 3, because I see them battling potentially the whole race for that podium position, but also just amongst themselves. And you're right, it's tough to peg Lando against the Ferraris, really, because Leclerc did 1 lap in practice. So we don't get to see them on equal footing in that session. And then Lando does 1 corner in the sprint. So the upgrades look like they had a lot of potential. So this is a question of, are we ahead of the curve because the world hasn't seen what Lando can offer with these upgrades?
Yeah.
Or are we going to be, not wishful thinking, but are we trying to be ahead of the curve on the McLaren?
We could say this,
and then it just doesn't work again.
I could say this, and maybe this changes our minds on things. Like last year, we were ahead of the curve on the McLaren because we thought their mechanical configuration, the fact that they mirrored what the Red Bull did, gave them the highest ceiling from a performance perspective to extract that potential existed. They could extract the most out of it if they brought the right upgrades to the car. So are we back in that position again? Ferrari, same mechanical they have the same mechanical configuration they had last year, and they've obviously done a lot of really great things in terms of refining a lot of their aero packages, making tweaks probably to the suspension. The car is a million times better than it was last year because it's benign. It's not giving these guys a lot of difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't necessarily mean that it has the same performance ceiling as McLaren or as obviously what the Red Bull is now. So like I love shooting for the stars, buddy. I mean, do we want to entertain that again? It's probably the problem is it's not the problem. It's part of my reservation is it's Lando, and it's just like fuck, man. Like obviously, he's amazing. He's hot too right now. I think he's
Yeah.
hot. He's hot. Like he's driving really well. It's just Lando.
I
right?
know, and
That's the other side.
he was so careful in the sprint, and he
I know.
still got taken out.
And
So,
that's we'll talk about that after. That's I think the symptom of probably, just there's a lot of different factors that are going to contribute to probably some chaos today. And I think there's a few ways that we might be able to capitalize on that.
mhm.
But you could still, you can't, I don't think we can turn away from this. I think we need to acknowledge it in some way. And I personally coming into this was thinking, what is the best bet, the best value that we can find on Lando Norris? Maybe that is what we want to, the bet we want to play, we want to place ultimately in the end.
Do you think he gets Charles? Like, let's start looking at bets. I think Max wins, right? You can't bet around Max not
No,
winning the
no,
race.
no, yeah, no, that's not a concern.
So
Yeah,
to
so Max
finish
wins.
second,
Yeah,
I mean, I'll put my cards on the table. I was very strongly looking at a Max Charles 1-2 to find whether it was Charles exact 2 or the
yeah.
dual forecast or the straight forecast, where we could find the best odds. And that's where I was wondering who gets P3. Is it Lando, or do you think Lando can get to P2?
I don't know. Like I was looking at some of the permutations that existed. I don't know if it's worth betting on him if you're not trying to take him finishing in P2. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's even reasonable to think. Well, there's two schools of thought on that. The guy finishes in. He finished in second. Did he finish in second? Yeah, finishes in second in Shanghai. And he
Mm-hmm.
really has no business being there, but he finishes in second, right? And now you bring all these upgrades to the car. I mean, there's no reason to think that he couldn't theoretically do it. Obviously, like it's not like he's not limited from a performance perspective, right? I wouldn't say that the Ferrari is just so much better than him that it's impossible. I might have said that in Shanghai.
Yeah,
The Checo is the confusing one here. I think ultimately, this is a street track. It's got big braking zones. We saw him on pole here last year, like or was it last year or was it 2 years ago? I can't remember. Either
Checo
way,
here.
yeah, here,
Yeah,
yeah.
because Max started from like ninth and then didn't
he
use the race
starts
after that.
he starts on the dirty side of the track, which I think is really like going to be a problem for these grid spots, right? Like we saw Carlos kind of alluded to it after his quali in his interview, saying P3 might not be that bad because it's the
Yeah.
grippier side of the track, right? And that's grip that's been the story this entire weekend,
Was
right?
it Botas that went back out to do burnouts on his grid spot? Like after the
Yeah,
qualifying today?
yeah, I know. Like these guys real well. He of all people needs that because he's just the worst race starter I've ever seen in my life. But
Yeah. My concern is that Lando and like those three, Carlos, Checo, Lando, I think they're probably all equal pace once we get onto race day. So are they just going to fight each other for long enough for Max and Charles just to take off? And then it's an
you have
uphill
to
battle
keep
for Lando.
you got to keep in mind, like, what do you think? I just brought up Carlos. Like Carlos he's driving like an insane person. He'll drive Charles right off into a fucking wall. Like he doesn't care at all.
Hmm.
He might get Charles into turn one, and it could be the reverse of your conversation that you're having right now. Like that's the
Right.
reality. I'm almost like either you take a shot with Lando because you think that there's maybe like a really high performance ceiling there and we can just maximize it, or maybe you just stay away. Like maybe it's just
So
not worth trying to find something there.
where it's interesting. We kind of came in with opposite opinions, so maybe we should avoid this. But where
Well,
my
not
head
opposite, but
was,
yeah,
where I was kind of leading us off the start was a Max Charles like straight forecast, wherever we could find the best odds on Charles to be in P2, but
yeah.
then also a Max Lando combination no, where you
Max
kind
Lando
of head
combination,
yourself on
no.
the Max Charles 1-2, where if something happens to Max, okay, and then who's likely to take that spot? It's probably Lando. Where if I don't know. But if Lando
I
finishes P2 there, then you lose both, which,
I had that. That was the plus 162. I had that written down too. Right? That
well,
was the
when I
max.
first looked at some of these, like Max and Lando, no, started at
Yeah.
minus 120. It's minus 225 now.
Oh,
Looking at
Max
the
Max and
screenshot.
Lando. Oh, sorry, I have Max and Lando. Yes, what am I saying? My bad. My bad. I'm
You're on the
looking at the
combo
wrong one.
podiums?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Man, the combo podium that I wrote down was will Leclerc and Checo finish on the podium, and I that was a no at 163.
Yeah.
Now
Again, so, okay,
I don't
so,
even know why I'm looking at that. Like
well,
I can't. The reason I'm looking at it is because of Lando doing something. Oh,
again, that's why I started out of those three. Like, is it Carlos, Checo, or Lando is going to be in that P3? I could see it being Checo. He's in the fastest race car, and he likes Miami.
I can see it being Checo. I completely agree.
I think the only thing that stops Checo is he does get involved with some battle. Carlos holds him off for 12 laps, and then there's a 6 second gap. Or the Ferraris flip and Charles holds him off for 6 laps, 12 laps. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I think that there is, unless you have a really massive performance advantage here, like it is difficult to get by guys, right? Like that is kind of what we saw in the sprint. You saw Ricardo literally be able to hold on to fourth over Sainz.
Yeah,
So think about that, right?
I know.
Think about what we saw already on the mediums in the heat of battle. And I think it's because of how difficult the track surface is to navigate and get grip. Like there's just so little grip out there for these guys. You can't really go off and beat a guy off the racing line because it just isn't the grip available. And I don't think that's going to change ahead of tomorrow. The wind is really causing a lot of problems too,
Mm-hmm.
right? Again, I'm building up to looking at the number of classified drivers. We can talk about that in a sec, maybe.
I
But
haven't looked there yet. Okay.
yeah, I saw some good numbers, so I think we need to explore that for sure. Because what I'm saying, I guess, is like when I say all that stuff, that makes me want to take Leclerc because he's got grid position right now. But I'm concerned about the start. I'm concerned about him being on the bad side of the track. That to me is, and I like that Lando's on the good side of the track. He's coming from
Yeah, but he
fifth.
didn't have a Leclerc didn't have a
Yeah,
problem with the bad side in the sprint.
no, no, that's true. He was too. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair.
I don't think we can be too worried about the start
No,
just
no,
with the
that's fair
bad side
too.
of the track.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair too. That's a legitimate point. I mean, anything can happen at the beginning too. I guess what I'm building up to though, really, with all that is this the bet? Is the bet to make trying to make a sense of those top five cars? I don't. Maybe that isn't the bet to make, man.
It might not be. I mean, something else that I wrote down was both
Yeah.
McLarens. I don't know how you feel about a 2 car bet. It is
Uh,
a street track,
man, I
but both
really
of them in the
don't.
top six, like them
Yeah,
just to hold on to their positions.
I know.
Minus 163.
Write it down, but
I mean, I
we'll
wrote it
have to
down.
really. Oh, you've got it. Okay, you've got it down. We have to be. We would have to be. I like the bet. I think. I think that they on pace should be in the top six. Obviously, it's just they're always involved in anything that happens. Oscar or Lando are involved, regardless of.
Like if there's
It's
contact, you
always
mean it's
them.
always them. Yeah.
If there's
Yeah.
contact, it's them. It doesn't. It's
Yeah.
always them. And I think there's going to be contact. Like I think this is setting up for a race where you're probably going to have 17 or 18 cars finishing the race ultimately in the end, and those guys. Like I don't think it matters that Lando came out in the sprint. The guy could easily come out in the race too.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Do you have anything that you want to take us to?
Okay, I might as well just take us like right off the topic that we were talking. Well, okay, how about we talk about the number of classified drivers? Like they've grip has been a problem the entire weekend. It doesn't look like it's that problem has been solved. These guys were out there on the softs and they could barely they couldn't even beat some of their earlier lap times in Q3. So I mean, like I don't know if that changes necessarily over the course of the race with track evolution. I mean, it's going to evolve very quickly, but I think turn one is going to be there's going to be something. Like I almost guarantee it. I think something's going to happen in turn one, whether it's two cars come out like today in the sprint, and then you've got the rest of the race distance for something else to happen. Like I loved the 17 minus 120 between 17 and 18. It was the total classified drivers three-way.
Oh, the three-way. Okay.
The three-way. Yeah, I did like the there was like a big number plus 150 for the under
Yeah.
17 and a half, but I'd
Yeah.
rather take the in between 17 and 18. You could get that done in turn one here, man.
So 2 cars come out, you still win it?
Yeah. So go up total classified
Where
drivers
is it?
three-way. Just a little bit higher there. Yeah. Minus 120.
17 and 18
Like I
inclusive.
like that. I like that. That's a good number. It's almost even money. Do you
I
have a
don't know.
reason not to take it? Like, what do you bet for a
Yeah,
red
something
flag in the fucking sprint?
exactly, and it lost. That's my point.
Yeah.
This is such
Well,
a weird ancillary, and you're trying to.
two cars came out on turn one right away. Two cars came out.
Yeah,
Never mind all the other chaos that
Alonso
could happen.
easily could have come out with them. He
He
didn't.
could have.
He was surprised to not have damage.
100%.
And then over the
I
course
think
of a race
that
distance,
incident, that
any other
incident could have been way
incident.
worse. Yeah, that incident could have been way worse. Like there are some runoff areas. I understand that completely. That doesn't mean that the cars will come out though with damage 100%. The street track, the wind, the low grip conditions. Like I don't. I think if you looked at sort of if you went and looked at Suzuka, right, a couple of weekends ago, you
Hmm.
really don't have a reason to think that cars are going to come out. But I bet you would have got this at minus 120. You probably would have got it at the same price. Like I don't know how they set these odds, to be completely honest, but the fact that two cars came out in the sprint race already here makes me think that it's a pretty good bet. Like I understand that this is
I
generally the between 17 and 18 is always going to be the shortest one, but
Yeah,
almost even money on it seems like that's a pretty good bet. Unless they're just under 17 is plus 450. I mean, I'm not
like
gonna take under
you're looking
17.
at this to hit with a turn one incident, and then you need 50 clean laps after that. Like
I
you're
would
saying the same
honestly,
thing's going to
my
happen.
my biggest concern would be that more than like four cars come out. Literally,
That's my point.
that would be my biggest concern.
I think
Yeah,
it's either clean and nobody takes any risks, or there's an incident that takes more than two cars, and you're trying to hit
100%.
that window.
When you talked about it, we talked about it today, and you brought it up. Like that 16 going into that straight,
I know.
these guys are hitting the wall, right? So that could easily
My
happen.
biggest concern with this is more cars come out
Okay, that's
that
fine.
we
That's a
don't hit the
legitimate.
window.
So then, do you want to look at
So
under 17 and a half jobs?
I'd go back to 17 and a half if we wanted to
That's
go on something now.
that's plus money, and you get everything underneath it. So you think maybe we do that then?
But I well
I'm
I
not
don't
gonna.
know. I don't
I
know.
won't talk you off that. I won't talk you off that ledge.
I wouldn't say I'm on it. You're trying to talk me
Yeah,
onto it.
sorry, talk you onto that ledge. That's yeah, you're right. I am trying to talk you onto it. I'll
Yeah.
do it. I'm
Well,
looking at that.
whatever you
That
say.
was the first one I wrote down. That
Really?
could easily
You
happen.
think there's going
That
to be
could be
carnage
a
that
turn
early?
one incident. Could be three cars coming out. That the Lewis Hamilton going into so Lewis Hamilton goes into every skates into everybody because there's no grip, right? Like that's the reason why he
No,
goes into
he
everybody.
went for a gap. That wasn't he
No man,
wasn't
but
like
he
struggling
does
with grip.
no. It's his tires are not in the working window,
You're
and he's
saying in the
struggling
sprint?
100%.
No, he was
That's
under
a
control there.
I
He just went for a
I
gap,
don't
and
know.
then the Astons came back across.
I don't think so. I think he's. I
Oh,
don't think. I think
100%.
he's. I
That's
think
what he
he's.
said.
There's less grip. Yeah. No. He was complaining about issues with grip the entire qualifying session too. I don't think they have it in the Mercedes there, and I think that was part of the problem. And I wouldn't be surprised if something else like that happened too. Going into the pack, not having the grip that you think, being off the racing line, trying to make a move,
Hmm.
and even his incident could have been way worse. Like you said, it could have been Alonso coming out too.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I wrote it down under 17 and a half. I mean, yeah. Okay. I don't love
You.
it. We need to find something else.
That's fine. Okay. 8 and 11. Okay, what about? I mean, I have some weird bets, but because I don't. We'll have to go back to the front. I don't know what
What
I
about
think at the
Yuki to
front,
hold on
but
to the points?
yeah, I had that too.
You wrote
I
it
had that
down.
written down. I had that written down.
Still minus
I
120. It hasn't moved. Like
I
who
like
gets him out of the points? Stroll,
the only thing I don't like about that bet is that it's Yuki and Stroll's right being like I think it's what is it called Hulkenberg, Yuki Stroll.
and then
I
both
mean, you can't
Alpines.
shy away from it, but and then both Alpines. You can't. There's not. It's not a reason to shy away from it. It's just And if we're looking at three cars coming out, like that's a prime candidate right there to come out. That's my only concern, I
Well,
guess.
maybe those make sense together then. Like
Maybe they do make sense
you're
together.
on
Yeah,
Yuki,
you're
but
right.
then if he
Yeah,
comes
yeah, that's
out,
the
you're
fade.
on the under.
Okay. You know what? I'm interested in that. Because yeah, if
I
you're
like
gonna
the
get
line. He
into
starts in 10th.
I
I
like
don't
the
think
line
the
too.
Alpines get him.
No.
Maybe
And I think
Albon challenges him. I don't know.
no, Albon's not challenging him.
But I
No.
think he
Albon's
also gets Hulk.
I think he can get Hulk too. I
Yuki, he
agree.
might get the Mercs.
I think the RB's got some they were fast in a straight line. They look good in the sprint. Like
Yeah.
Danny was holding off Carlos with that. He's
And
keeping him
Yuki was battling Lewis, right? He battled
Lewis,
Lewis
yeah.
for that last point.
Yeah.
Like he might battle the Mercs in the race for
I mean,
P8.
he was only battling Lewis because of what K-Mag was doing, obviously. I think in the end, it might have been different. It could have been different. I don't know. I don't
They
want
might
to
have
say that,
both got
actually.
past K-Mag. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to say that. That's true. So we've talked about Yuki before, and then we don't take him, and then I don't know, I feel it's a mixed bag. Sometimes he comes out of the race, he doesn't even start it. I think remember last year we were talking about Yuki and Monza, and then just didn't even get to the grid.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank God we avoided that.
I
Maybe we missed that bullet.
Yeah, I don't know. Dude, not everyone's going to crash in this race tomorrow. So we got to be able to have some confidence.
Maybe everybody crashes. I don't know.
Let me take you a little bit further down the grid. I'm looking at Albon versus those Alpines right ahead of him. And I think we maybe have a chance to take
Can I give you
Albon.
a can I give you
Okay,
a different bet? Because I
sure.
don't like your bet and I like my bet, and here's why.
Okay,
I
what's
want
your
to
bet?
take
You want to bet on the Alpines?
race match bet. No, I don't want to bet on the Alpines, but race match bet Williams v Sauber, which is just
So you
essentially
don't even let me
Albon.
finish. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Okay.
I don't want you because your car is starting. The cars that he has to beat are starting in front of him. But
So I literally, you're pissing me off right now.
why I'm pissing you off?
Because I
Like
literally
I don't
have
like.
Williams versus Alpine, Williams versus Sauber. I was going to take you on a path because there's a better bet than both of those that accomplishes
I
the
already,
same thing.
buddy, I already beat you there.
Fucking
Then. Okay,
idiot.
I
What, the
already beat you
group?
there. No, the Williams v Sauber,
No.
the race match bets.
No.
You
Okay,
think
well,
you think it's a group bet? He's not in that
no,
group
I'm
though,
saying
is he?
the group is a better bet.
The group is not a better bet. He has to beat the Alpines. That's not a better bet.
And the Alpines are going to finish last.
The Alpines are not going to finish last. I don't think that's the case at all. What do you mean? They brought a big upgrade package. They look a little bit more competitive. I don't think that's the case at all. That's not a good bet.
Okay. We'll come back to, I'll talk to you on Sunday
Well,
about the
you
Alpines.
you wrote Williams v Sauber, so can we talk about that? Bottas
Yeah,
starts behind Albon. Albon,
I
how
wrote
could
this.
you
I liked it.
how could you get around him?
It's
How
moved.
could
It
they?
was, wait, it
No,
was minus 150 when I first, oh, yeah. Never mind.
it's minus 150. Yeah.
Yeah. I
I
like
liked
it.
that bet. I like the bet. I
And the Sauber, again, they're not getting their pit stops
no,
fixed until
I don't know.
Imola.
Yeah, so and
So
it's
anything
hot.
could happen.
It's hot, chaps. I don't know. Did I say the heat was an advantage? I can't remember when I was doing all my research. I don't know.
An advantage for who?
I think it was.
Oh,
I
I
think the
think
heat
it's,
helps them or hurts them. I can't remember with the
I don't know.
metallurgy of the
I don't know.
wheel nuts. I don't
Is it
fucking know.
too
I can't
soft or
remember.
not soft enough? That's what it comes
I don't
down
know.
to.
I'm
But
trying to remember. I can't remember.
yeah,
I think it might be too soft. So that's good.
I
I mean, Albon in a line. Yeah, like there's three big long straights here. It's a slippery car. I mean, could he just get blown off the track and into a wall? Yeah,
but
but that could
again, we'll
happen
be on the
at
under.
every
So
circuit. We'll
so
be on
we've
the
got
other.
two guys that will
Okay.
crash, and then we'll be on the under.
Do we just imagine our ticket is just Yuki, this Williams bet? You know what though, man? I I would rather have those bets than any unless it's Lando bet that we like. I would rather have those bets than a bet up front. I truthfully do not know what's going to happen. This could be dumb. Like we could take Checo without Max is plus 400. We might be like stupid and just should be taking that. I don't know. Maybe we're dumb, but
Yeah,
are we dumb? Like is that just a we just lost like Checo lost this. It
he
wasn't
just
even his fault
didn't.
really what happened in Shanghai, but
He didn't look in the sprint. It didn't look like giving him another half race distance was going to accomplish anything for him
like I agree with that
in
too. I
terms
like the
of
fact that
catching
we saw
Leclerc.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think Lando might pass him early off the clean side of the track, like you said, and then he
I
battles Lando for half the race,
yeah. Yeah, actually maybe we
or
need
he
to be
gets
looking
by.
at it. Maybe you're right. Maybe we need to be looking at it from the perspective that you know, 2 weeks ago you wouldn't have looked at Norris to be a problem for Checo, but now he might be the problem. He might just keep
He
fucking
might
Checo.
be.
He fucked him in Shanghai, and maybe he fucks him here, and then you take advantage of the way you take advantage of that is just Leclerc runs away. And if we're just going to go into Leclerc v Sainz, then you know who I'm going to side with, especially on a street track.
Yeah, I didn't want to pick between those two this week. I don't know. They start right beside each other.
No, no, but what you are picking? You wanted Leclerc. You wanted a straight forecast with Verstappen and Leclerc.
I only was pitching that with the combination of Lando not getting there, but I don't want that anymore. What I'm saying is maybe okay. So we've got three bets in our window: Yuki in the points, Williams over the Sauber, and then the under 17 and a half classified finishers. Maybe it is a Lando flyer. We've been avoiding flyers, or not avoiding, but we haven't had flyers this year. Maybe it is something where we look at like being ahead of the curve with Lando, and he keeps it clean, and he does get everyone. What do you think?
Lando was plus 137 podium.
No, I'm saying even more aggressive, but that's like
I
that wouldn't
don't.
be a flyer.
No, I don't want to.
That's a
I don't.
sensible.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe we're ahead of the curve and he gets to the podium, but we're gonna have to put so much on that then I don't feel comfortable that he doesn't struggle getting past Checo and Carlos.
Yeah.
Like, what's him to finish exact P2? That was 3:33. Yeah,
Even that's like not.
it's not enough. What about Max? Like the straight forecast, Max and Lando.
That might be interesting.
No, 450.
Better. Lando. Better. I would be. Well, okay. We have to kind of regroup here. So we were like on Albon and on Tsunoda and on cars to come out. Is there anything? Okay, I'm gonna have to go back and do a deep dive here. Not a deep dive, just like a quick look, a peek.
Let's
I
go to
gotta
the
take a peek.
groups. We didn't show the people the groups.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I'll go back to groups and go back to matchups. Maybe we'll look. Okay,
Like,
let's
I
see.
would be still very comfortable to take Albon over the Alpines. That's crazy.
No, that is not
Plus
a good bet,
550.
Ben. Why? Why would you? I don't understand. What are you talking about? That's not a good bet. Plus 550. Look at Danny. Danny, I saw that number at like it was like 300, and now it's down to plus 175. I don't even know if I would take him to get by. He has to get by
No, he's
Albon. I don't even know if
way
he
at the
could.
back.
I don't think he's even going to get past Albon. He's Albon's going to be a problem for people. People are going to get stuck behind him.
Yuki Point is better than Group 3.
Yeah, but is Yuki? Well, I thought Yuki. Yeah, you don't want him to
Like,
have
it's
to
minus
beat
120.
Alonso and Stroll.
Yeah, because two of
Yeah,
these guys could end up in the points with Yuki
there's
P10.
the group bets are horrible. Actually, there is no
Yeah,
good group bet. There's no good. There isn't any. Could go to the race match bets. I didn't see anything I liked, but
I didn't like any of these. The drivers, the teams, drivers.
the drivers. I didn't. I don't think
No,
there
I
was
didn't
anything
like
here.
any of these. Like, do you take 120 on Stroll because he does start a few spots ahead of Alonso?
I would never do that.
P11 to P15, yeah, right. Like, you just
I
couldn't
would
have
never.
enough
I
on
would
something.
never do that. No, I
No,
would never do that. No, I can't.
I don't think I would take Lewis over George or George over Lewis. Like, who
No,
knows?
no, I don't know. I wouldn't take Oscar over Lando. No,
No, Checo, no.
I had like
K-Mag just starts so far back.
the Oscar bet that I had was that he would finish lap one seventh or worse. That was like the Oscar bet that I liked. Like I could easily see him losing out to Russell, like hyper aggressive Russell on the clean side of the track. Not that we're gonna make a first lap bet. Maybe we will, chaps. I don't know.
I don't know. We're already so
Do you like
ancillary.
that? Yeah.
I don't mind it.
George
So
is
where is it? End of.
fucking crazy. He's nuts. Like for sure, I could just see him, Oscar. Like something happens and he's involved, and maybe he drops back that way. End of first lap position,
Just have a bunch of fades on us. Seventh or
just
worse.
plus 125.
You just have to lose one spot on the dirty
Loses
side of the track.
one spot on the dirty side of the track, and he's not like I haven't seen him get off the
I'm trying to
line and
think. Yeah.
blow my mind. You know what I mean? I usually see him. You see him get off the line and he
Loses a
kind of
couple
moves
spots.
backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he kind of comes back at everybody. He's got what? He doesn't have all the upgrades, right? He doesn't
He
have
has
all.
half the upgrades.
He's half the upgrades. Not that like this is just the start. And the reason I love it is because George he's clinically insane. He'll
Yeah.
he might drive right through him. He might just take him out. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's entirely possible, right?
I don't mind. I don't
It's
mind
kind
this. It's
that's a
such a
weird bet.
weird way to approach
It's
this
a
weekend.
it's a weird man. How about this? Let me just reset though. Personally, I'm okay with this approach to the weekend. That's why I keep throwing out these stupid bets. Maybe they're not stupid bets. Maybe they're
Right.
really, really great
No,
bets, but
ancillary bets.
they're ancillary bets. They're not stupid bets. They're just betting around some of the result figures because I think it is going to be. I don't know. It's very confusing. I don't have the sprint weekend made it even more confusing. I really don't. I don't have a sense as to what's happening with the top five.
So I think that's become the case. Like, sprint weekends, I don't think are great for us. For some reason, I started the show saying extra data. I don't know. For some reason, I don't think we have
Yeah.
a great record on the sprint weekends.
No, we. I don't think we do either. I agree.
I suppose this does make sense because it includes everyone just staying in position for lap one. But like it's kind of, so they say Lewis will be same or better.
Yeah.
Where was George? I saw George same or better by a long shot. Whereas Oscar to be the same or better is the shortest odds or the
Yeah.
longest
And it's also,
longest.
well, I was gonna say it's also, yeah, like conversely, it makes sense, right? Like
Yeah,
I'm sure that's probably a result of historically what happens to him coming off the line.
I don't hate this. I kind of like it. Do you like this
Kind of like
better
it.
than any of the other three?
I don't know if it, maybe we just play them all. I don't know.
Just have four bets.
Man, I don't know. I really don't know.
I do think if we're going to be on the Williams and or Yuki, we really should be on that under classified finishers.
You think it should be under 17.5? Yeah. Or yeah, under 17.5 for the plus money one. I
Yeah.
that I the more and more I think about it, the more it makes sense to do that.
So the difference is if it's only two, then we lose this.
If
Do
it's
we
only two,
go
then we lose
what was
this.
18 and a half? Do we
But if
lose that much value?
under
Because I think we
18 and
both
a half,
agree it's probably going to be two.
oh, I don't think it's good at all under 18 and a half.
That's what I mean. Was it like
Yeah,
minus
I think it's like
275 or something?
it's in my yeah, it's stuff in the minus 200s, I think. Total
So
classified
fun.
drivers.
Total, is
It's
that what it
up
is?
above yeah, on the right side, above finishing position, I think. Total classified drivers, I think. Under 18 and a half, yeah, minus 225.
225, you do lose a lot of value.
Well, do
I mean, that brings you back to the window.
that's outside of the magic window, but do you do it? Because it's four bets here. I don't think so. I don't think you. I don't know. I don't know if you give up that much. That's a
It would they
lot to
would
give
then
up.
be our longest or shortest bet. We'd have to put the
Yeah, it's
bulk on
so.
that.
That's a lot to give up. I
It
don't
is a
think I want to
lot of
give up
value to
that.
give up. Does that just mean we should be on that window? Like we're dumb for not just being in the window. What was your window? Minus
It's 17 or 18. It's minus 120. I think it's minus
minus
120.
120. Like you split you literally split the value, but then we have to be in that window. So
Like the nice thing about the 17 and 18 is if if it becomes, well, no, it's not a nice thing. Sorry, I'm wrong. I was going to say those midfield bets. Those midfield bets get stronger if we lose this 17 and a half bet, which is good, right? So that I
right.
guess it makes sense to fade with the 17 and a half under the 17 and a half if we take the Sonoda and the Albon bet, right?
That was my
That's what
point.
we talked about. That's what we talked about, right?
But you lose, so we could lose both those two drivers get, let's say they hit each other somehow through pit stops. So we
Sure,
lose both those drivers and that's it. That would be doomsday. But so
sure.
then
Yeah, that could
but
happen.
what
Yeah,
we're over the course of the race, like we're not just saying it's turn one again. Like I think over the course of the race someone probably goes out
well, we
later in
talked.
the
Yeah,
race.
yeah. Well, I mean, so you have the heat. Like, let's keep that in mind too. It's heat, right? Like heat. There's other factors. Heat for mechanical components. There's the heat and the tires and the fact that you like they fall out of that window very quickly and you lose grip,
Mm-hmm.
and that it all culminates in the fact that the track is slippery and there's some some tricky advertisements on the walls.
Yeah, the Qatar,
The
the
guitar,
maroon Qatar
the maroon
Airways.
guitar, yeah, exactly right. Cutter,
Someone
we
hit
just
it. Lewis again hit it today. Someone hit it in the qualifying. I forget who, but everyone
Danny
hit it yesterday
Danny
in the
did
sprint qualifying.
Danny, yeah,
Danny,
Danny
yeah,
hit it, yeah.
just love taps. Do we just go with these four? Everything
I'm
else I
listen.
had was like some sort of combo at the top or
Yeah, I'm
fading combo at the
surprised that we
top.
ended up here, but well, I guess I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised. Like I really don't know. Maybe we're throwing away a really easy bet at the front. I don't know. Is there
Well, with a Red Bull 1-2 or
or
Max
like a
Charles.
Checo coming in second? But like I don't. Maybe I'm not. I want to say I'm saying that, but I'm like maybe we saw a race already, right?
We didn't
I
look
don't.
at what was Max then Checo.
It's the second. It's the
Yeah,
second
it's the
favorite.
second.
Yeah,
You
plus
don't get
240.
any value.
I really don't know. No, I don't know. Like I guess we can't take a bet up there. I just don't. I have
I
no
don't think
idea.
so.
I don't think there's a safe bet either. Like all the safe bets are so short. That's the I guess that's the biggest problem with this race right now, is that any short bet or any bet where it's just like, okay, guy's going to maintain position is incredibly short. I guess that's normally how this handicapping in
Yeah,
this sport
we
works. But
really needed Lando like P4, and then you and I would probably have a
yeah,
little bit more confidence that he
well,
goes and gets
okay, so
Carlos, and then he's
all right,
battling Charles.
the
Yeah.
only thing that we didn't do, okay, so this is we have to think about this right now. So the only thing we
Hmm.
haven't done is do the thing that we started out saying that we kind of wanted to do, which is we should do something to acknowledge the the high ceiling for Lando. Like we should do something,
Right.
right?
But the highest you can look at is to finish second, exact P2, and that was 333. Like I
Yeah.
don't know if there's a
Well,
better
is there, okay, maybe I take it back. Is there a Lando bet that is a, you know, minus 200 to even odds bet that we will take?
to
I
even
don't know if
odds.
yeah, that we can
I,
just add to this slip and then reconsider another bet or just
that
add it
that's probably
as a
podium,
fifth bet.
right?
I don't know if podium is plus money. And like, I don't know if podium is the right bet.
Plus 137. That's basically even, if that's what you're
Is the
saying.
minus, not the minus 163 bet. I wouldn't take that actually.
Lando, like what's his finishing position where he goes up?
Finishing position.
Oh, you have to pick it. Wait, didn't we just say Lando P2 was 333?
I thought no, was that top two finish? Did you just do?
No, I did P2.
No, you're right. No, no, you're right. They just did.
To
That's just
finish
fucked up.
second.
No, just okay. Just make that bet then.
Wait, take the Lando to finish second at 500. That's
Well,
the value we're looking for.
if you just get like an extra 180 points on this bet, that's the same thing.
Where will Lando Norris finish second? You just get way
Do we just not? Maybe we just take that.
like $50 on this. Now we're in the flyer range where 250 really helps a bet slip
Massively,
if that were to
massively
hit.
does.
And losing it on the flyer doesn't really hurt us. Losing 50 or
Not the.
$100.
I just like the
What did
fact
you
that
win
you
on what did you win on your hot pick?
nothing, nothing.
Uh,
Well, you want to bet you
70
bet
something.
$50. I
Like
didn't
instead
lose
of
50
50,
bucks.
put what your hot pick paid out, like 70
70,
something.
70, 70, $80, whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we put that on this.
Okay.
But then do we take one out or are we doing 5?
Do five. I don't know. Like I do. So when you look at the rest of that slip, do you have anything that you don't? Do you have anything you don't like? I don't.
Do you take off the Oscar? I like
What's the
Yuki in the
Oscar?
points,
I kind of like the Oscar. I don't know. Like I kind of like the Oscar. I don't know.
and I like Albon over the Saubers. Lando. So this is finishing position. We'll have to make a point. Make sure you say in the post the crazy difference in the odds.
Yeah. Okay, I gotta clear this bet slip too. I'm not even.
Like that's not. Is it third? Or we're getting we're saying he really does it, and like he's just the second fastest car.
I mean, I don't know why. If we're gonna make a bet on him, I think that's the bet, right? I don't. So I think that what's putting me
I
over the
think so.
top here is that you're getting it was plus 333 for the same bet, and now we just found it in a way to make it plus 500. Like we have to
That's
take
crazy.
that, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to find it, even if we find a shorter bet that's like minus 150. We're not going to go and find a different version of that bet.
No, I
That's like a
see what you're
plus money
saying.
bet.
We
You know what
like
I mean? Like it's
we owe
we
it to
have to take
ourselves.
this
We have to
value. Yeah,
take this, yeah, because it's
yeah,
just free value. Okay.
yeah.
Are you pricing out the 4 5 bets then? Back to
No, I
five.
sorry. Can you give me? Yeah, hold on, that's
Okay.
okay. Can you give? Sorry, well, the shortest was what?
Williams over
Was the
Sauber.
out Williams, right? Yeah. So let me get that.
I'm gonna
This is
try
be a
and follow
very
along.
interesting conversation here. So
I mean,
Williams,
it's an interesting race.
hey man.
Race match bets team. Let's make sure everything's
And
still
then
the
it
same.
was Yuki points.
Then Yuki points was next. Minus 150. Now we've got Yuki minus 120. Yeah.
Yeah, minus 120. And then is
And then
it
it'll be Oscar.
no, it's the
Yeah.
finishing, is it not finishing
Oscar's
positions?
plus 125.
Oh, Oscar's plus 125, you're right. So
Oh, that's end of lap
position,
one.
end of lap one position. It's the funniest bet of all time.
Oscar plus 125, seventh or worse.
Okay.
Goes back one spot.
Okay. And then
And
it's the
then and then it's the under total classified
total
finishers,
classified finishers, and
drivers,
it's under 150 plus 150,
plus
under
150
17
for
and a
over
half,
17 and a half, under 17 and a half.
under 17
And
and a
then
half.
the Lando finishing position,
Finishing position, Lando,
singular.
second. This is nuts. I, well, okay. This is
Okay.
crazy. I love it. Okay, so what are we doing here?
I
What are we doing here?
feel the best about.
Well, I mean, I feel the best about Albon, but
Yep, that's what I was
like,
going to say.
yeah, right. Like, you could anything could happen with him, but I feel the best about him.
I feel the
So
best about him.
I would say 300 minimum, right?
The 3 and 3 maybe on him and Yuki, or do we go even? I gotta sneeze.
3, 3. That's 6, 2 and 2. Like what we can't do, and I know you want to do it, is like you just want to put the
Excuse me.
least amount of money on the Piastri bet, but you can't look at it like that.
No, I want to put the least amount of money on Lando.
Okay, then can we do this? Can we do 300, 250, 200, 250?
3, 250, and then what did you say?
200, 200, and then 50.
So 200 on the underclassified, 200 on Ocon or Oscar, and then 50 on Lando.
Yeah. So let's think about some permutations here.
So what's
So
that? What's the under payout? Because that's our big kind of hedge protection.
yeah, the 200 pays gives you 3 for a total of 5.
A 3 profit, which would protect losing like Albon or Yuki, one
I
of.
guess that's the idea is that you're buying one of them essentially with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guess the real question about this is can you get under 17 and a half drivers without Yuki or Albon coming out? Like of all the drivers, you know what I mean?
Who else comes out? Oscar could come out.
That'd be great. I would love that.
Um,
I mean, man, maybe something happens at the front. Like that's also possible. It usually
it
doesn't
is
with those guys.
possible. Yeah,
It
usually,
could.
yeah.
It usually doesn't with those guys, but
Maybe Carlos goes for a gap.
I George and Oscar is a pinch point for me. Like I do think that there's something that can happen. There's always
Mm-hmm.
something that can happen with George,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. I guess this
Logan's
might be
not
a
in last. Logan's not used to having cars behind him.
true. It might be a fruitless conversation. I just wanted to bring it up. Like I don't know if there's a. Of course, 3 cars could come out and Albon and Yuki stay in the race. Of course that can happen, but
I see what you're saying. Do you want
I,
to take off Yuki? I do
that
like
was
Yuki in the points.
I like
It's
Yuki in the
just good
points
value.
too.
It's good value for the guy that starts there in a car that deserves to probably be in the points. Or does it
Well, my
not? Or
only
do the Astons?
that's what I mean. Like I guess that's my only concern is that theoretically those positions do Lance Stroll and Alonso would just end up there naturally, and that maybe that is the bet to take out. No, no. So hold on, you have to keep this in mind, two chaps.
Mm-hmm.
If we're saying I kind of like the Yuki bet. Sorry, the reason that I like the Yuki bet and I didn't bring it up, but I meant to say it was I like a points finish bet when you think that chaos is going to happen because grid positions open up.
I
So you
agree.
can't necessarily, we don't want to necessarily avoid that. If something happens with Oscar and George, all of a sudden he's almost guaranteed to be in the points if he stays in the race.
Do we take off the Alex Albon?
I actually like that bet the most because that bet is just
He just stays
If
ahead
he
of them.
stays in the race, if he stays in the race, theoretically he wins.
Hmm.
And if Bottas comes out of the race, we win as long as Albon stays in the race.
Because Joe's way at the back.
Yeah.
I'm
And
I
Logan
like both
Sargent,
those.
buddy, Logan Sargent might just run into Bottas. That'd be great.
He
It's right
finished
there.
P10 in the sprint.
I know.
Maybe we're
So
disrespecting him. Like maybe he has a day.
maybe he finishes
Maybe
ahead of
he.
Bottas. I don't know. Yeah, like I don't. I mean, let's not be insane, but
Let's not be crazy.
yeah, let's not be crazy, people.
Okay, is the Oscar seventh or worse? Is that too ancillary? I'm poking. I'm just going on in order, poking a
It's
hole,
fair.
making you
It's
think
fair.
twice. It's
100%.
very
And
ancillary. What
it's very
first lap
ancillary.
position?
But the thing that really convinced me about this, and it was your point that you made when we were looking at it, is if you look at the rest of the board, nobody's being treated with kid gloves the way that
No,
Oscar is being treated with kid gloves there. And that to me is a real admission by the bookmakers. Like,
I agree.
he is the biggest risk.
I agree.
And that's fanning the flames of my original logic, which is he hasn't really started all that well. He's starting on the dirty side of the track. The guy behind him is a clinical, insane person. So,
Okay, final
right?
hole. I'll try to poke. If it was anyone other, like if it was Stroll's a terrible example. If it was Lewis on a
Yeah,
tough
it would be
weekend
yes.
to start P10 and finish P10, would we feel the need to have an under on a classified finishers? Like that only really makes sense to me because we have bets on Yuki and a Williams. But if it were anyone else in the same situations, like Alex is in a faster car starting ahead of both of their drivers. So we like that. We love the line. This race could just have two DNFs, no D. Like
Of course it could. It doesn't.
I think
I
it's
guess.
unlikely that there's 5 DNFs.
Yeah. Well, I have a hard time giving up on that one because the narrative that I came into this conversation, well, the narrative that I've been kind of carrying this whole weekend, and it's been reinforced by what I've seen, is that it's tricky. Like
Mm-hmm.
the resurfacing made this circuit tricky. It's a tricky circuit in general
Yeah.
with the big braking zones. The wind is not letting up. It's like 40-kilometer-an-hour gusts, like constantly. The drivers are talking about it. Look what, like, I mean, watching qualifying was really kind of like the eye openers. It's just guys complaining about grip. They just cannot get the traction that they need to get the most out of the car. Everybody's making a ton of mistakes all the time. This is not a race where somebody is going to just, well, I mean, even Max up front, driving by himself, I could see him slipping up and making some errors and losing time. It just seems to be it's one of those weekends. And the fact that it's on a street track makes me think that there's going to be some chaos in the end.
Okay.
Then you add in the heat. Then
I'm
you
with
like
you.
you know what I mean? Like I'm not
I'm with you.
if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's fine. But what I like about this bet is it's the inverse of what we saw in Bahrain, which is everybody looked nailed down the whole time in all of the testing sessions. Everybody looked nailed on the track all through practice on the weekend. We had the most runoff of all
There's a ton
time.
of yeah.
It's just to me, this is like kind of the opposite of that bet. This is one of I understand that the cars are more reliable than they've ever been. That's 100% true. But I don't think it's going to be. Maybe there is a mechanical failure. That would be great.
Well, I
But
was just gonna
that's not what
say,
I'm picking at. Yeah,
but we do have a lot of new parts on a lot of cars, and then it's going to be
that's
the
true too.
hottest race of the year so far. So,
Yeah.
like, okay.
No,
Question
no.
for
Like it
you:
just. Yeah.
what is Yuki payout plus Williams payout? So, like, if those are the two that hit, and there is
It's
no chaos, and
nine
both of them
nine
just hold their
fifty.
position. Okay,
950.
I
Yeah.
like
So
this. I like
I was gonna
this.
say that. I think that's yeah. You're right. I was looking
Like,
at
if
that too. I'm
everything
like,
just holds position and it's a clean
if there's
race,
two
we
minus
lose 50
monies, yeah,
bucks.
that's exactly it, right? Like if there's two minus money bets that are just about drivers holding position finish,
Yeah,
then we win. It is what it
that's
is.
kind of what I needed to hear. Okay, I
Okay.
think I like this.
Okay. I'm gonna lock it in.
Okay, lock it in.
Williams, Yuki, seventh or worse for Oscar Piastri, 170.5. Landon Norris to finish second. Okay. It's a crazy slip, but I like it. Pays 2,200.
If everything hits, we sweep the board.
That'd be sick.
Just sweep it in Miami.
Imagine that would be insane. I don't know. I always think we will. I love that feeling.
Now
Yeah,
I'm
guy,
now I'm kind of
we're gonna hit
hoping
them
for
all.
those two of three or the two of
Yeah,
five. Sorry, I'm hoping for
the
those
two of
two.
them. That would be great too. Yeah, just that would be fantastic. Just we escape.
All right, that's the show. F1000. We're gonna have a recap likely Monday, maybe Tuesday. It will be coming out on YouTube and Spotify and all the jazz. If you've made it this far, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Those make a huge difference for us. We're back in 2 weeks for Imola.